Man, you know what it is, DJ Thorough, aka Thorough Zano, Bridge to the Streets. Right now you're watching the hottest in the streets. Right now you're gonna be watching the funniest in the streets because we got a special guest, a comedian. Introduce yourself.
My name is Louis J. Gomez, stand-up comedian, podcaster, asshole, all that.
All right, I like that. I like this. I like where this is going already. Let's talk about your podcast.
What's that,
What's the
man?
name of your podcast?
Well, I got a few podcasts. I got 3 podcasts.
There's one with the Skank title.
The Legion of Skanks.
Legion of
That's
Skanks.
the dirty one. That's the one that if you, I don't know who's watching this at home, but if you have children or if you're offended easily, if you have a thin skin, don't even click on it. Don't even think about it. And I tell people that in the beginning because they should know it. You should know what the door you're knocking on.
Right.
It's a responsibility on my end. We call it the most offensive podcast on earth, and we call it that for a reason.
Okay.
Because when people come in, they have no, and we've never gotten in trouble. We say crazier shit than anybody else.
Right.
We've never gotten in trouble, and it's because we label it as such.
Right.
So people know what they're getting into.
Right. Okay, now speaking of being a comedian, is there a line you don't cross? Like, is there such thing as a joke that's too far? You just don't say that, in your opinion?
No, I don't think there's any line. No, there's no line that somebody shouldn't be able to cross. Here's the deal. The more skilled you are, the more ability you have to go to that line.
Right.
Because it's supposed to be funny. You're supposed to be making people laugh. And if you are, it's not a net positive. There's not more people laughing than there are people that are pissed off.
Right.
Then you fucked up. You're not doing your job. Your job is to get it's not everybody. People should be pissed off. 10% of the audience should walk out pissed off.
Right.
I just said, I was like, not everybody should listen to my show. You know, I mean, the reality is there are people that, you know, that maybe if you lost a loved one recently to some disease, maybe don't go to a comedy club because there's a chance on the lineup somebody might say something about that, but they have a right to, and they have a right to try to find the funniest shit, the shit that I'm sure if you name the comics you loved growing up, okay, Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor,
Fox.
They went dark and they went into a place. They talked about growing up poor. They talked about dealing with, I mean, dude, Pryor, I mean, he went to some really dark shit. So
Right.
in order to get there and to find the funniest stuff possible, they had to go and explore every topic. And sometimes it's not funny, sometimes it's uncomfortable.
Right. Now, are people just too damn sensitive, in your opinion? In this
No.
day and age? No?
People aren't sensitive. That's bullshit. It's the thing, nobody cares.
Okay.
Nobody really cares. Nobody's sensitive. You don't know anybody who gets offended by shit for real. You know probably 2 chicks.
Right.
2 broads that they're not even really that behind closed doors. They're like, I don't really care. There's an outrage culture. It's clickbait now to have an outrage.
Right.
You know, to be mad about Louis C.K. or mad about Dave Chappell saying something or whoever.
Right.
People get clicks for writing that article, and it's a business in itself. And that whole outrage, it's sort of fake. Social media is addictive. So when you say, "Oh my God, I'm pissed off. This guy sucks. He should be out of the business," and you get 100 likes. This person has never gotten 100 likes on anything they've ever said about anything ever before. No creative thought, nothing they've ever done. They've never gotten a like for anything. And now they're like, holy shit, I'm getting attention. Well, now it's addictive. Now they go, well, I'm going to pretend to be more and more offended. But behind closed doors, I don't know anybody that cares that Louis C.K. touched his dick. Nobody cares.
Right.
My aunt's 75 years old. I asked her, I was like, do you care? She's like, that's it? That's what he did?
Right.
He touched his dick. That's it. Okay.
Who doesn't do that, right?
She's dealt with real shit.
Right.
She has real problems.
Right.
That's it. That's your big problem in life.
Right. Well, the reason why I said that because recently the Grammys, they wanted Kevin Hart to apologize for some comments he made about gays 10 years ago, which he apologized then.
And it was a funny joke.
And it was funny.
It was funny.
But for some reason...
And the point of that joke wasn't even...
Right.
It wasn't even knocking gay people. He was the ignorant person in the joke.
Right.
He was the butt of the joke. It was him not being able to handle society, and that's a very real perspective that represents a lot of people.
Right.
Why are you trying to kill that perspective? You can't kill that perspective. You want, this is what I say, man, white people, they don't want real black people in their lives. They do not want real black people in their lives. I live in Harlem. They don't want the people that live on my block in their home. They want some other fantasy like Will Smith, like, hey, how's everybody doing? That's who they want in their home.
Right.
And and as soon as people get at all real, then it blows up in their face. So Kevin Hart, he's playing a different game, man. He's doing movies with The Rock.
Right.
I'm never doing a movie with The Rock.
Don't say
I'm
that.
not worried.
Don't
You never know.
say never.
I'll play The Rock when he gets his out-of-shape little brother.
He's an absolute brother. No, you could play him. You could play him.
Maybe, yeah.
You know, You could play him in a documentary series.
Who knows?
Growing up, at some point, you look like The Rock. You know, when he was growing up, when he was growing into The Rock. You could
Exactly.
be Pebble, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. You can play the rock.
But I don't believe that people really get offended that much.
Right.
You know, when you actually sit down and talk to people, you know, in real life, you know, that's an online world that we live in where everyone has an opinion and they have to come every day with something
Right.
new to say. But if you go to the supermarket, nobody gives a shit.
Right.
Everyone's kind of coexisting. You know what I'm saying? My Muslim cab driver dropped me off here and I bought a bagel for my Jewish, the guy at the bagel shop.
Right.
And then the Puerto Rican guy, well, he sold me weed, but either way, everyone, we all coexist. We all
Right.
work together. There's
Right.
It's not this overwhelming sense of like, oh my God, everyone's on edge, everyone hates each other, everyone's sensitive. The reality is, as soon as you get offline, you get off Facebook, you get off your phone, people are kind of cool.
Now, I read where, you know, you grew up, you had a rough life. You know, you had a lot of bad things happen in your life growing up. Like about your mom, I think she OD'd on heroin, and your father was murdered.
Yeah,
where
he was murdered when I was
from?
4. I was born in Patterson, New Jersey, which is one of the most dangerous places on earth.
Okay.
Like, it's literally considered one of the worst. But I grew up in the suburbs. I grew up in Rockland County, New York, which is in a weird way even worse.
Right.
Because at least when you grow up in the city and poverty in New York City, there is culture. There are people that are winning. You can walk down the street and maybe there's a homeless guy in the corner, but there's also a billionaire in the next corner. There's a movie star in the next corner.
Right.
Everyone's riding the subway together. There's a guy going down to Wall Street to change, you know. So I think there's a sense of like, you know, it's a big city. You know, you could make it. There's something going on here. There's when you're in you're in the suburbs, you know, nobody has any sense of, or even more rural areas, like there's no sense of like getting out and doing anything bigger.
Right.
The dreamers,
you don't see it.
You don't see it. The
Right.
dreamers are more far and few between when you sort of leave the city. So I think that I didn't even realize it at the time, and now I sort of have a different perspective on it. But yeah, man, that side of it, you know, it's a card that I was dealt. People have worse lives. I can't complain. You know, look, you know, people have worse lives, but I sort of live my life by this standard. You know, you're dealt a hand, right? You're dealt your cards. You can win the game. Doesn't matter what the cards are. Doesn't matter. It really, truly doesn't matter. You win the game. And a lot of people today, they're so focused on reshuffling the deck and making sure everybody's got the same hand, and it's never gonna happen. It's not a realistic version of what's gonna happen. And the people that spend all their time in outrage culture, all their time saying, everyone's gotta have everything, you're missing the opportunity for yourself.
Right.
Those people are missing it. And for me, I always just said, well, you know what? Like, I would rather focus on what's going on in my life, what's affecting me, my family, my friends, and those are the variables and the factors that I can control. You know, I can't really control the cards. You can't control that it's raining, you know?
Right. Okay, I get it. So let's talk about, you have a Skankfest coming up or something to that matter?
Yeah, it's called Skankfest.
Now, I need to be at this Skankfest.
You gotta come.
All
You gotta
right?
come. Invite everyone
I may need
here.
to be DJing this Skankfest, depending on how this works.
I would love it. I would love it.
Explain the Skankfest. What is a Skankfest?
All right, Skankfest. It started. This is the 4th year that we're doing it, and it's called comedy festivals. It's a wrong way to put it. It's a party.
Okay.
It's a 3-day-long comedy party. We do stand-up comedians, live podcasts, panels. There's going to be music, parties, games. We have one venue. It's not like you go to a comedy festival. It's usually spread out across the whole city, 5, 6, 10 venues, right? This is one venue. It's Brooklyn Bazaar in Brooklyn, New York. Okay. It's 4 different floors. There's 4 different stages that are going to be going on simultaneously. So there's never anything that's not happening. Every hour there's a new event that's starting. There's something to see at every moment. 150 comedians. Wow. We're doing 20 live podcasts. You know, I could sit here and list every. We have the best comics in the world. There's no doubt about it. You know, Michael Che, Robert Kelly, Jim Florentine, Jake the Snake Roberts is coming out. Jake the Snake's coming out, which is crazy. Live podcast, Legion of Skanks, Come Town, Michael Bisping, your former UFC middleweight champion. He's doing his podcast here. Janine Garofalo's coming out.
Everybody's coming. You need to be there.
If you like edgy comedy, this is the place to come. I'm telling you right now, it's not even about dirty, because we have clean comics as well. It's about freedom of expression. Comics are taking chances at this event that they wouldn't take chances anywhere else. You're gonna hear shit that's gonna make you cringe. You're gonna hear shit that's gonna make you go like, oh shit, should I be laughing at this? But it's a party, and you can't escape, the comics and the entertainers can't escape the audience. Everyone's hanging out together the whole time, the whole weekend. It really feels like a party. It's very, very special. It's very unique in that sense. But yeah, I mean, you guys, literally everyone at This Is 50, you guys are welcome. You guys are invited. I'll get you guys some passes, please. I promise you right now, you've never experienced a comedy party like Skankfest. There's nothing. It's June 21st through 23rd.
What is it, June?
June 21st through 23rd.
All right.
Brooklyn Bazaar, skankfestnyc.com. Tickets are so close to sold out. They're right there. By the time this airs, I don't even know if you'd be able to get tickets, but you can hear about it for next year. They can come next year.
We'll tell you about it next year if you don't get the tickets. Now, how do you deal with hecklers? Because I'm sure every comedian at some point has to deal with a heckler in a crowd. How does that work for you? What's your method?
They deal with themselves. The reality is, comedy is a hard thing. Comedy is not easy. Typically, you just let them kill themselves. Number one, they don't have the microphone, right? Use the way, I'll tell you a trick. If you're a young comedian watching this, I've been doing comedy for 15 years. This is a trick, right? All you have to do is point out that they are ruining the experience of the crowd. Just point that out, create that narrative, and then the audience gets pissed off at them. They're like, yeah, I'm spending my hard-earned money, and this motherfucker.
You gave a gem away right now. That's
a solid way to do it because you turn the audience against them, and no matter what they say, comedy is a very sensitive thing. If they don't want to laugh, they're not going to laugh, right? They're not going to. So in the moment where they realize they don't like this person, even if he says something clever, which he's not going to, he's not a professional comic. It takes time to go in front of a crowd and make an entire crowd of people laugh.
Right.
It just takes time. You know, you can get lucky. You get a puncher's chance, I guess. But the reality is, it's not an easy thing. So 99% of the time, just let them talk.
Just let them talk.
Let them talk. Let them kill themselves. They're gonna say something not funny. And something not funny, oh, doggy, when somebody's trying to be funny and they're not funny, oh my, that feeling, please. So it's a power play. In sales, the person who's talking more is losing. You know, so it's a sell between this guy's trying to sell his horse shit, you're trying to sell your horse shit, right? So now you have a moment where you got the mic, you have everything, you have everything on your advantage.
Right.
Don't kill yourself. Just let him talk himself into a corner. Okay.
Now speaking of trying to be funny and it's not coming out as you planned, have you ever bombed?
I bomb every night. I'm bombing on this interview. What are you talking about? If I ever bombed.
You're doing good on the interview. He says I'm bombing him. But what was the worst? What was that? I guess your first bomb experience. What was that like?
I know. I remember the first time.
What was that like?
The first time I ever bombed. It's always in front of a black audience. Black audiences don't fuck around. They don't want horseshit. They can sense your fear. They can tell you're nervous. They can tell it's fake confidence. Doggy, I went up and it was a little place in Brooklyn. I forget the name of the place, but it was a bar show, and I just wasn't ready to do comedy yet. I wasn't ready to go in front of a not ideal crowd. And this is a crowd, you know, once again, it's a different thing. Black audience, you know, in the hood, this is Bedside, Brooklyn, you know, 2004. This is not even like now Bedside where it's like, you know, this is like Bedside was like in the top 10 most dangerous places in America at the time. It was fucking crazy. I don't even know why there was a comedy show. There was nothing funny about Bedside at this time.
Well, that's why they had it there trying to
It was crazy. There was no reason for this. And I go up, and I remember the guy before me, it was his first time doing comedy. The guy before me, and then it was maybe my 10th time. And I was like, yeah, let him go first. I was like, you know, I'll come up, I'll clean up his mess. This crowd literally had 5 minutes of patience in them. This is it. They were like 5 minutes of patience they have, and they gave it to him. And then they're like, cool, get off. They gave him a nice, polite little clap. I went on. Dude, I don't remember what I said. It just wasn't funny. There's no other way to describe it except just not funny. And this chick in the front row, she just started booing me. I mean, she's as far as you are from me, and she's just yelling boo. And she's winning.
Right.
The crowd's going, yeah, she's right. Boo. Fuck it. Boo. Dude, I got booed off stage. It was so bad. It was, I mean, and then, you know, since then I only perform for white people. But that's okay.
Okay.
But that's okay. You live, you learn. You have to pick your paths.
Do white people laugh at anything? Is it just easier?
No, white people are more, black audiences and Hispanic audiences are better because they don't get offended.
Okay.
They will not cringe. Once again, they've dealt with some real shit. I grew up and I've seen some real shit. So if a joke would offend me, that's fucking crazy.
Right.
That's crazy. I've just dealt with real problems. When I go through the priorities of my problems in my life, right, and I'm going down the list, a joke is so far down the list, I could never imagine getting there. It's nuts to me that anybody, this is why I believe that it's fake outrage and it's not real. But But white people, I think that, just in general, I shouldn't say that because it's not always true, because my mom was fucking white and on welfare and Section 8 and, a drug addict. She had a whole bunch of problems. But just in general, if you can create a broad stroke, I think that white people typically have had just an easier time, just in general, right? So, or if they're going to a comedy club. It's blue collar, middle class, whatever it is. You go to a white comedy club, that's sort of the demographic there. If you go to an urban club, these are people that have, they want you to fucking make them laugh. They're there to have a good time. They want to have a good time, but they also worked hard for the money. Maybe they have a different connection with the money they spent on that. So if you're not doing well, they feel offended. They feel like you've accosted them. Whereas white people, they just kind of go, I guess go to the jazz club next time. It's just a different, it's a different level of anger. And maybe I haven't done. If I went to a trailer park and did a comedy show, I'm sure it'd be a similar thing, to doing kind of like a hood show. It's not really about race. It's about, economic status and sort of what you dealt with.
Right.
But I'm just saying in general, my experience is when you're traveling around in what would be considered an urban club or a white club, that's a big difference. And white people are just a little more polite about letting you bomb. Those let you bomb, they're just not going to attack you.
Right. They're not going to be waiting for you on the side, right?
Who knows what can happen at an urban show? It just depends on where you're going to go. The path you can go down is a much different path.
Right. Understood. Now, name your top 5 favorite comedians of all time.
Shit. All right. Top 5. Living and dead?
Dead or alive?
Dead or alive.
Dead or alive. Top 5 dead or alive.
I got to say number
As
1.
Jada would say.
Patrice ONeal, number 1 of all time. He passed away a few years ago. He just didn't give a fuck. If you haven't seen Patrice ONeal, go watch Elephant in the Room. It's on YouTube. You can click over right now. It is, in my opinion, the best comedy special ever. He died. He doesn't have the big body of work that a lot of other guys have, so it's not easy to find his stuff, but he was the best. He was, in my opinion, the actual funniest person that executed stand-up comedy on a high level. So you're talking about both being a funny person and also executing on a really, really, really high level.
Okay.
Then I love Dave Attell, who New York Times just named him the best club comic, best living club comic. He's just incredible. It's a joke writer, joke machine, just somebody that I've looked up to for a long time. Chappell, number 3. Just undeniable. His body of work. You can't. I've watched Chappell go on stage for 7 hours.
Hey, he's Rick
Kill
James,
the whole time. He didn't give a fuck. Dude, I was hosting a show, and when you're hosting a comedy show and Dave Chappelle shows up, it literally you're like, fuck, I'm gonna be here all night. This is the worst. Yeah, I'll tell you, it's a special moment for everybody in the crowd, except watch the host's face. Anybody that sees Dave Chappelle show up at a comedy show, watch the host's face. You can tell who the host is. The one person not smiling, that's the guy hosting the show.
Because he can't go home
guaranteed
now.
Every time. And then I got to go to Eddie Murphy, and it's just because I grew up on Eddie Murphy. I grew up, my mom, when I was like 8, and I shouldn't even been watching Eddie Murphy, my mom would show me, Raw and Delirious, and those 2 pieces of comedy were just next level. What he did as a performer, and he's 20 years old, I think, in the one of them. It's crazy. Hour and a half each thing. It's a movie. Right. It's a different thing. I got a lot of respect for that. And then, last but not least, I'll give you somebody that you probably haven't heard of, just because why not, right?
I like to learn.
There's everybody. You got to check out a guy named Metzger.
Okay.
Who is, probably, I think, will be regarded as the best joke writer of our time. He'll be the next, Dave Attell, next Bill Burr, and Bill Burr's in there. It's hard to kind of like, cause Bill, I think he's got specials that are funny. I'll talk about comedy all day. But Metzger's a guy who you guys should all go check out, because he's just brilliant. He's got a crazy way of thinking, just very unique, very, very different.
Right.
And he's just a killer.
Right. Now, as a comedian, what are some of the obstacles you face? Like, for instance, how do you get that Netflix special, the HBO special, or how do you get to the next level of, to be honest with you, I don't know, man. There's no rules in this thing. A lot of people wait. A lot of people, they shake hands with people. They make friends with people. This isn't just comedy. This is anything. This is, DJing, hip hop. Right. This is, if you work in a bank,
you know, you have to get the people that are right ahead of you or above you in the business to like you and to want you to move on to the next level.
Right.
You have to grease the wheels. It's about people liking you. So the talent, it's inconsequential. I shouldn't say that. You have to have a certain level of talent to even be in the conversation. Right. But once you're there, we all know this. We all see people who are like, how does that guy get ahead?
Right.
What
it's
is
like
he
music.
doing?
You're right.
Like, you're like, hey, there's no way. I know this guy's better than this guy.
Right, I get
But
it.
what this guy does behind closed doors is he's better at getting those people to like him. And that's a really, really important part of the business. For me, I don't like being a phony. I can't. If I didn't like you, you'd see it. Like we would be having a boring conversation right now.
Right.
I'd shut down if you. Obviously you interview people. You know how to get people to open up.
Right.
But I'm not good at that. I can't go in if I meet somebody who's an executive or somebody from a TV network. I'm like, oh, I gotta pretend to like this guy now. Oh shit! And then I would rather go hang out with some lowlifes and smoke a blunt in a stairwell than hang out with some TV network executive.
I like it.
But that's why I do things myself. It's why I started my own comedy festival. I started my own podcast network. You know, I got 3 podcasts. I work for myself. I don't have a boss. I just filmed my own comedy special, which is going to be released April 1st independently through my network, through iTunes, through Amazon, everywhere. Louis J. Gomez presents Louis J. Gomez.
Okay, that was actually the alley-oop for that. That's
good. And that I did it myself because I could sit around waiting forever for Netflix or Comedy Central or one of these people to tell me that I'm ready, or I can look at my fan base and the people that love what I do, and I can just say, wait a minute, hold on. There's actually, Jerry Seinfeld said this. There's a book called I Killed, okay? I believe, maybe I'm misquoting, maybe it's a different book. I don't know. It's I Killed. It's a great book, either way. But Jerry Seinfeld wrote the foreword for it, and he just talks about how, like, you spend 20 years developing your act, and then finally you get a TV show, and it's like, listen, you're perfect. This act is perfect. This is going to make a TV show. We're going to make a TV show about your life. And then you go to this network, and then they're like, all right, now we're going to change everything about it. And you're like, wait a minute. I know what my fan base wants. I talk to them on social media. I have a regular connection with them. I speak to them through my podcast. I get real-time feedback for what they want. If I don't know, I know right away. So how do you know? Anything, a game of telephone exists there, right? So no matter what way you want to slice it, even on the most basic level, you could explain this to a child.
Right.
Wouldn't just having that disc and having, for me to have to be a conduit between this fan base and this network, aren't you going to sort of lose some of, something there? I think anybody sort of would understand that. So I just stopped waiting. I did Last Comic Standing. I've done a lot of these TV shows that people do, and I wasn't being myself. And I think I don't do well. I will go further being myself than I will trying to be something else.
Okay, so that's what it is, man. DJ Thorough. Let him know the name again, and when is that
Louis
show?
Louis J. Gomez, Legion of Skanks podcast, Believe You Me podcast, Real Ass podcast, Skankfest, June 21st through 23rd, skankfestnyc.com. Grab tickets, come out. If you hit me up and you let me know you heard me on this, I'll make sure I get you guys a discount. Hit me up directly on Twitter or Instagram. I'll get you guys a discount on the tickets.
All right, and what professional skank would you like to see at this Skankfest?
Professional skank?
Yeah, what professional skank? What female skank would you like to see at this damn podcast?
Yeah, it's not females.
Excuse me.
We're the skanks.
Oh, we're skanks? All right, well,
people think it's about chicks. It's not even about chicks.
Listen,
we're all skanks.
We're all skanks, but what female skank would you want there?
What female skank would I want there?
Yeah.
I'm trying not to offend anybody right now. I've done
Hey,
so good.
You don't care about
the last thing.
Now you care about offending people? Fuck that.
All right, man. Thanks so much, my brother.
All right, peace.